My name is James Williams Jr. and this will be one of my final Marvel videos for today. I may be back on later because Days of Our Lives just came on and I don't want to miss it because it's getting good, especially after yesterday when they gave me the WTF moment. And just in case Days of Our Lives needs an actor who's out of work, I'm available. But you might want to get with me soon because classes start next week for my online and my other class that I don't want to take. But I'm going to school for political science and criminal justice. It's not something I want to do because I'd rather be happy making movies, but I need a job right now. Okay, moving on. So this video is about Multiple Man. Now, this video will probably be long. So, if you don't know who Multiple Man is, you should probably Google it. His name is Jamie Madox. Jamie Madox also comes from Deep Pockets. His mutant ability is to clone himself. He has died plenty of times. He has become a member of the X-Men plenty of times. He has become a member of X-Force, X-Factor, Excalibur. He has never been an X-Terminator, and he has never been a New Mutant. Alright, that I can remember. Now, before the retconning is where all my information is coming from. After the retconning, I have no idea what the hell they've done with this character. So let's go back to my first read of him, which was like in '87. And he wasn't an X-Man, but he was on Muir Island. Because apparently, he wanted to know how to stop his mutant ability. So, before we go any further than that, let's tell you what his mutant ability bestows. He has an unlimited amount of clones that he can make of himself. And that's like unlimited. So he can be immortal if he wants. Because he can freeze himself and let his clones live his life until he decides that he wants to come out. So let's say Jamie Madox wants to live until 2099. But he wants to go the easy route, which is to clone himself so that no one knows that he's like a clone, and he goes and puts himself in stasis. Let's say that happened. It did not happen, but let's say that it does. Now, each one of his clones share the same power. So this is how you have those clusterfucks that I just named, with him joining the X-Men, and joining X-Factor, and joining Excalibur at least once or twice. He's been an X-Men at least twice. He's been Excalibur only once, and he's been in X-Factor at least twice. Alright? But he's one of those characters that you kind of can't really get rid of because eventually he can snap himself back together. Now, here's where shit gets interesting. If you are a Jamie Madox fan, this is the part you've been waiting for. Because Jamie Madox has had at least, count them out, 10 clones go rogue. At least 10 of his clones have gone rogue between 1986 to 1996. So, because at one time, and I'm pretty sure it was in like 96, 97, might have been 99, at one time, they were about to bury Jamie Madox, but they were burying a clone who had been with X-Factor like since after the Cameron Hodge thing with the Extinction Agenda. I think that's the right one. It's not Fallen Mutants. I think it's Extinction Agenda. I'm a little confused, so bear with me. But whichever one it was, I'm definitely sure it wasn't Fall of the Mutants because he was on Muir Island then. But the truth of the matter is, the real Jamie Madox has been running his family business and has never, ever been an X-Men or X-Factor or Excalibur, just like he's never been a New Mutant and he's never been an X-Force. Those were some of those clones that have gone rogue. Now see, every time his clone goes out, they learn something new. So whatever they learn and obtain, he is telepathically linked to them. So he also knows that a few of them have gone rogue. When he's tried to pop all of himself back together, sometimes that shit doesn't work. And some of those clones who have made clones also have clones that go rogue. You see where I'm going here? So if you're a Jamie Madox fan, you know damn well what I'm talking about. Because when he died, and he was at X-Factor, and Val Cooper and them were speaking over his funeral, there was another Jamie Madox right there at the funeral, and he was behind like the trees and stuff. And he kind of waited to see what the eulogy was or whatever. And then when they all got home, he knocked on the door. And they're like, what? And then when you get the second issue, it's like, we just buried you. No, you buried one of my clones. I'm James Madox. But here's the twist. He's a clone too. It was never the real Jamie Madox. Another clone that came to the door to pick up where this Jamie Madox left off. With all the same skills and all the same training and everything, because all the clones are telepathically linked and they all seem to know everything that the other clone has done, but none of them share that with people who are not the clones. And more importantly, Jamie Madox, for somehow or another, I guess they have the ability to block the link, because he's had to appear in a few comics, and then you kind of found out that the ones that have appeared in a few comics are assuming the responsibility of the rogue clones, but they've never been Jamie Madox. So Jamie Madox has no idea that his rogue clones have been out there. But I don't understand how that works, because he popped the clones out, and when he was on Muir Island, and we're assuming, because I'm not sure what the fuck's going on with that, but we were assuming that Madox on Muir Island was the original Jamie Madox, and then eventually he went home to run the father's company or whatever. But apparently it might not have been the case, because each one of the clones have had a clone that has gone rogue and has tried to get them back in, and that clone has resisted, because like it or not, they're alive and they have found the means to resist the pullback. Now, I call it the pullback because I don't know what the hell it's actually called. But before the retconning and all that stuff, Jamie Madox is one of those characters that has gone complete and utterly ballistic through the Marvel Universe. I'm pretty sure one of the clones may have been an Avenger, but I'm not going to swear to it, because I read more X titles than I ever did Avengers. I did read Cap's titles by himself. I did read Iron Man's titles by himself. I didn't specifically pick certain Avengers that I like, but when I did pick those certain Avengers that I like, I read their titles by themselves. So I got a couple of Hawkeyes and Mockingbirds. I got a couple of Wonder Mans, and I had a couple of Iron Mans and War Machines. And, you know, whenever Marvel has a new thing that involves an Avenger and they get a solo thing like U.S. Agent or whatever, I jump off and get the damn thing. You know, whether I like it or not, I already bought it. And when you buy a comic, sometimes you have to buy the rest just to see how the story ends, because, let's face it, we want to know. So Madox, this guy has ran rampant through Marvel, and you know, I'm sure that somebody from one of the big YouTube channels will probably do a better story than I will, because they'll have better source material and they'll have the money to do that, which I don't, and I would never ask for a Patreon thing or any of that. But if you know, you can tell me how to get sponsors that aren't going to cost people like mad freaking money or whatever, then I'll gladly do that. But until that day, the whole point is that Jamie Madox, or James Madox, has been running rampant, and it ain't really been him, it's been his clones. And his clones have showed up everywhere. I know for a fact that one of his clones may have been an Avenger, but I won't swear to it because I don't have that comic. But we can probably Google it and find out, and I will do that and probably do another video about Madox later at another time, because we're at the 8.5 minute mark. Now, the thing with that, you know, Madox is one of those characters that I don't think Marvel has another equivalent of him. And if they do, it's new to me. Madox has appeared in one of the X-Men movies. I think it was X-Men United, when they were all in the woods working together with Magneto, and Stryker and them had a trap set, but all of the mutants were all the clones of Jamie Madox. And then when they got that one clone, he was just standing there, and they were like, "What? How's this going on? What?" And then all of the army and stuff was around all the clones, and then all the clones just disappeared. That was supposed to be Multipule. That was Jamie Madox. So I don't think that they have an equivalent or another superhero who can do the same thing. But I will say that he is one of those enigma characters that has gone through multiple evolutions and multiple hairdos and multiple things, and he's hung with some of the heavy hitters in Marvel. But mostly he has been known to hang with X-Factor and the X-Men, and mostly on Muir Island. So when you looking for Jamie Madox or Multiple Man, you're like in a state of flux, because you're like, okay, so is it him or is it a clone? Is it him or is it a clone? And like I said, so many of his clones have escaped him, and I don't know if it happens when he goes to sleep or whatever, because it might be hard for him to maintain the clones when he goes to sleep, because we all know that when we sleep, we are at our most vulnerable. And to think that if you can multiply yourself just by punching your own fist, you don't know what you do in sleep. You might hit the table, clone pops out. And they have had an incident on the X-Men Evolution cartoon where Madox was in that cartoon, and he was a young guy. Him and Bobby Drake had the same hairdo, and he bumped into something, and another clone bumped out of him from behind when he bumped into the table, and the other clone popped out, and then he pulled them back in. And it's like, that's got to be complicated. He said, more than you think. So you might think that maybe if he sneezes or farts in his sleep, you know, he might pop out a clone. I'm not saying that to be nasty, because you don't know what you do when you go to sleep. You do know that people pass gas in their sleep, and you do know that people roll over, toss, and turn. Well, if he can bump into a table and pop out a clone, just think what happens when he rolls over, and another clone pops out and wakes up on the floor and be like, oh, okay, should I wake him? Nope, I'm going to go run amok. And that very well could have happened because in the cartoon, you know, he bumped into a tree or a table and another clone popped out. And then there was one where they were hanging from the cliff and he used multiple clones to make a human ladder. Does anybody even remember X-Men Evolution? Or am I the only person that ever saw it? But anyway, I didn't like the way they ended it because it left you on a cliffhanger about apocalypse or something, or either the CW here, which was the WA at the time, just didn't air it. But anyway, the whole point is Madox could run into a wall and make clones. But in the comics, he usually punched his fist together and clones would come out however many he want. You know, he didn't have a distinctive number of clones that he could, like, be limited to. So that's a problem. You know, let's say if you could only make 5 clones of yourself, then you're good. Or 7 clones of yourself so that y'all can all go to work at least one day a week. Or better still, you could do multiple things at multiple times. Henceforth the name Multiple Man. Jamie Madox. Madox is, it might be Madox. But either way, it's like Xerox. There was like the Xerox company. And I think that's how they got the name Madox. I'm not real sure. I don't swear to that. But Madox does this, and clones come out behind him. You know, and on the Marvel cards that they used to have, where they had the power level and all that, his card specifically had him standing like this, and they had like a fuck ton of clones behind him. And that was like generation 1 of those cards. So in case you guys got that, because I have them somewhere in a notebook, kept, because I didn't have any friends. So I still don't have any friends, but I still have my comics. But the thing was, Madox, and I don't know why no one's ever done a report on this guy. But Madox, I mean, to have an unlimited amount of clones of yourself, you could actually rule the world. You probably could. And I'm not saying that he could be a bad guy, but his clones really didn't have any other superpowers other than to clone himself, which is kind of fucked up. But then again, now that I haven't been in touch with the comic book world of reading it, they could have evolved him into giving him other powers as well. But for this sole purpose of this video, we're just going to talk about his multiplication ability and how some of his clones have run rampant and have gone rogue on him, and he can pull them back together. But apparently some of the clones have evolved because they have found a way to not go back into the great pool that snaps them all back together. So if you're Jamie Madox and you can have an unlimited amount of clones, you know, how do you not go to jail? Because your clones are clones to everything down to the very fingerprint was exact. And I don't know if Jamie Madox has ever been to jail in the comics, because when he became a member of X Factor, I did read those comics, and then when they killed them off, I was at the point where I was about to stop reading X-Men and stuff, because I'm like, alright, look, you guys can't keep doing this shit to me. Y'all can't keep giving me this up and down emotional roller coaster, because I invested in so much of these characters that, you know, I like wish that I was some of those characters sometimes, because I was like, these lives that they're living are way better than mine, you know, and it's exciting. They have down-end jobs, but their lives are exciting. Where I had a down-end job washing dishes at Kegler's, and my only escape was from being bullied at school and working all the damn time was those comic books. And Madox is one of those interesting characters because of the simple fact that he's one of those characters that had no limitations on how many times he can clone himself. Which goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video, when he was getting buried by the X Factor, when Val Cooper was doing his eulogy, and then no sooner than they do that, he shows up in a trench coat, the exact kind of trench coat that he had through the whole saga that he was in X Factor, and he knocks on the door and says, "Excuse me, My name is James Murdoch. Madox. Fuck it. My name is Jamie Madox, and I believe you guys just buried me. So I came to apologize because that was one of my clones. They got rogue, and I haven't been able to find them all. But the guy doing that wound up being a clone too. So you see where I'm going with how dangerous this power could be? But it's only the power to multiple himself. It's not like he has multiple powers and then he has like shooting fireballs and shit. Now that could have happened by now, but for the most part, all he did was duplicate himself over and over and over. Now, the reason why I said that is a problem because of the rogue clones. The rogue clones are the ones that, however or whatever it takes, he can't control them, and I haven't figured out how they break the psychic link. But they clearly have broken the psychic link and have gone off to live separate lives. Some heroes, some not. And that has come back to bite Jamie Madox in the ass on many occasions. I need to stop calling him Jamie because that's the name they gave him, but his real name was James Murdoch. But he went by Jamie. And this is where the thing started getting complicated. And he's like, Jamie said, look, I don't like that name. My name is James. My clone went by Jamie. I have a lot of rogue clones, and for some reason, I can't get them back. I wish I could remember the name of the X Factor comic, because it happened in X Factor. I don't remember which one, but it was in the early 90s, because I would think I was just about to get out of high school, and I got out of high school in 93. But if you guys want to do more research and elaborate and help me out on this, that would be great. I'm James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Factor number 2. Be seeing you.